Good morning, Panthers fans. Today we're here with another video talking about the Panthers. It's a weekend update. This is on Sunday. It will be released Monday morning. So let's get right to it. What has been happening this weekend with the Panthers? A lot, a little bit of everything, right? So let's talk about the 53-man roster. So there's a couple of deadlines that we've got here. Deadline number one is by Tuesday, the Panthers need to release their 53-man roster. Other teams have been doing this. By the way, there's no rule on this happening all at once. So there's a lot of teams that will essentially send it, they'll send press releases of like, we've cut this player, we've cut this player, we've cut this player. The Panthers don't like doing that. At least this iteration of the Panthers don't like doing that. Last year, what happened is that they essentially released all of it at the same time last year. So I think that's probably going to happen again this year, if I'm honest. And so there's not going to be these cuts. I think the strategy behind that is that Dan Morgan likes to probably wait until the last second to see who's going to be available. So it's now some people might be like, well, that's bad strategy. Who knows? Who knows? One of the things that Dan Morgan and company have been really vocal about is that they believe that their scouting department and just their scouting team has an edge when it comes to some of these release players. They treat it like another off season in a way. And look, you've got to give Dan Morgan some credit. Corey Thornton has been a revelation this offseason. And, there's just Jalen Coker. There is a history now with Dan Morgan being able to find talent that is not a first, second, third, fourth round. So that's what I think is going to happen with a 53-man roster. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm hopeful that I want us to keep 7 wide receivers. I would like us to keep Jimmy Horn and Hunter Renfrow. I think that for the first time in this franchise history, the wide receiver room is a strength and not a detriment. So for me, it's like, keep 7 wide receivers. I cut David Moore. I know that Dave Canales has a relationship with David Moore way back in Seattle. I know that there's a bond there. To me, the David Moore stuff does not make sense. It does not track. I don't know. I don't have a scientific analytical reason, except that I watched David Moore drop so many passes last year. I'm ready for some new blood in there. No one's going to pick him up. He can still be part of your practice squad, and then if something happens, then bring him up. So, I don't know. Those are my thoughts. I would rather us not go with David Moore. There's a kicking competition, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with kickers. I do believe that Dan Morgan, Dave Canales, and the whole scouting department I think they're going to pick up some linebackers, some middle or outside linebackers that some of these other teams drop in the 53-man roster. But anyways, those are my thoughts on the 53-man roster, having to do with what we're hearing about Adam Thielen. So that's been the chatter for Panthers fans this weekend. Multiple reports saying that on Friday, multiple reports that the Panthers and the Vikings were in conversations for Adam Thielen. Okay? Then other reports that the talks weren't really amounting to much and teams weren't, they weren't agreeing on compensation. I think a lot of what's happening is the Panthers and the Vikings using the insiders to either raise the price or lower the price. I think originally, my guess is that the Vikings wanted to offer a 5th or maybe a 6th, and Dan Morgan said no. Dan Morgan said, Dan Morgan is not the person that initiated all of this. The Vikings are the ones that went to the insiders and essentially said, hey, we need another wide receiver because Jordan Addison is not going to be able to play until week 3. So I think I think Dane Morgan is saying, this is speculation, but I'm guessing he's saying I want at least a 4th round pick, and I would like a 3rd round pick. Now the Vikings are a well-run organization, so they're saying there's no way that we're going to give you a 3rd round pick for a 35-year-old that was thinking about retiring last offseason. So I get all of that. I understand all of that. But to me, I am totally fine with us not trading Adam Thielen, especially if the return is going to be a 5th rounder. This is finally a strength for this team. Do not trade away Bryce's most reliable receiver. And I know there's a lot of people on Panthers Twitter that are essentially, if we rely on a 35-year-old, we're cooked anyways. It's not about relying on a 35-year-old. I'm fine with Thielen being wide receiver 4 or wide receiver 5. I'm fine with our top 3 being Tedero McMillan, Xavier Legette, and Jalen Coker, and then put Adam Thielen in there, and then Hunter Renfrow, wide receiver 5. Like, I don't care. But depth matters in this league. You can't just say that depth doesn't matter. Depth matters in this league. Don't get rid of someone that has been as productive and reliable as Adam for a 5th round pick when you're not the one that initiated the talks. That's my only point. So anyways, those are my thoughts for the weekend. 53-man roster coming out Tuesday. More Adam Thielen conversations. We'll see if those develop. But yeah, that's your update for the weekend. Hope you all have a great day, and talk to you on the next one.